Well, good morning again, everyone. My name is Luke Bencie. I'm the Managing Director of the global security consulting firm Security Management International, and I'd like to welcome you to this panel discussion on tourism security. I'd like to start off by introducing a very esteemed group of subject matter experts here. We have Mr. Tawfeeq Alsadoon, who's the Group Head of Security for Red Sea Global. Mr. Konstantin Turuntcev, the Managing Partner for Event Concept Consultancy. Trevor Sinden, the Regional Director of March Networks. And Andrew Long, the Principal Security Risk Management Consultant for WSP Middle East. Gentlemen, thank you for being here. It's an honor to share the stage with you. To begin with, I'd like to sort of set the groundwork for this discussion by just mentioning that as the ambitious vision of 2030 continues to steam ahead, the goal by 2030 is to have 150 million visitors come to the kingdom. Now that is a very, very ambitious goal. I have no doubt that it will be hit. But to put that in some perspective, think about that London gets about 30 million visitors a year. New York City, 50 million visitors per year. And the largest global tourism destination right now is Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida, which brings in 58 million people a year. Now, compare that to the ambitious goal of 150 million, and you can see sort of what these security challenges are going to be. Now, that's not to say that Saudi Arabia isn't prepared or doesn't have some experience. Obviously, the Hajj, which brings in about 2 to 2.5 million pilgrims every year, is very well organized and most importantly, secure. So with that as sort of our groundwork of discussion here this morning, I'd like to start off our questioning here with a question for Tawfeeq here. Tawfeeq, you've been a long-serving leader in this field. How has the approach to tourism security evolved since Vision 2030 was announced?
Assalamu alaikum, sabah al-khair, morning all. First of all, please allow me to express thanks and gratitude to the event organizers, to our colleagues in SAFE, their great efforts in establishing the new wave, the new security industry, and uplifting the security career for, Fahad mentioned like 10,000 employees over less than 5 years of establishing SAFE. And at the same time creating jobs, quality, sustainable jobs in the field of security to accommodate the needs of the new industry in Saudi Arabia. To answer your question, well, after the Vision 2030 and the announcement of the luxury tourism and tourism destinations in general, we have worked in Red Sea Global, among other giga projects in the kingdom, on the fusion of the security requirements at the early stages of the destination design. That will ensure, first, cut the cost. Second, the achievement of the seamless, invisible security and the best guest journey planning with the infusion of the security requirements. In addition to that, we actually, when speaking of the tourism security in the kingdom, we don't start from scratch, remember. We have the long decades or centuries of organizing the pilgrimage and the Ministry of Interior experience in crowd management, in addition to the capabilities of industrial securities in Aramco. I don't want to miss the higher Commission for Industrial Security, HCIS, with their guidelines. So we don't start from scratch. We just need to adapt and customize the security measures in order to meet the needs of the tourism industry. I mentioned the infusion of the security requirements at the early stages of design. In addition to that, we took the decision not to reinvent the wheel. So we have the strategic partnership with our colleagues in the Ministry of Interior, certain agencies of the Ministry of Interior. All what we need is to sit with them and define our concept of operation that was very crucial to the development of our security or tourism security capabilities. In addition to that, leveraging technology, leveraging the artificial intelligence in order to achieve our needs and turning security from a burden on the projects into being part of the business. This is very important to succeed in the achievement of seamless and invisible security. I hope that answers your question.
No, it certainly does. And I appreciate two of the words that you said there. One was adaptability. Yeah, in any field of security, you have to have the flexibility to be able to implement it. And the other word was seamless. It's not going to be an overnight hard transition. It's going to be a process. And I think that leads in, I think that leads in well to our next question here for Andrew. And that is, Andrew, Saudi Arabia has giga projects in the hospitality sector, such as Neom, Diriyah, Red Sea, and Qiddiya. How is security being addressed in the design stage of all this?
Yeah, so thank you, Luke. Can everyone hear me? Yeah? Yeah, good. So WSP and a leading number of engineering design companies, we're working on numerous giga projects across the kingdom. So us as security designers or architects, we're encouraged to deliver futuristic developments, allowing us to think outside the box as such. So as security consultants and designers, we're designing solutions and strategies from the outset. And if you're aware, there are a number of different stages in the design phase. So there might be concept master plan, there might be detailed master plan, concept design, all the way to detailed design. So all of these companies are getting a piece of that or all of it. But the foundation of all of these stages should be set with a security threat and risk assessment. So by underpinning the design with a risk-based approach, we're allowing solutions to be commensurate to the risk instead of over-developing security measures. So I think Tawfeeq mentioned invisible security, and that is kind of the buzzword that's out there. I prefer to use unobtrusive security because if we look at major events, the Formula One, the boxing, if we look at these things, there'll always be, I think, an element of traditional physical security measures, whether that be ticket checks or vehicle access control points. But as designers, we're trying to push these out to the city boundary as such. So again, that the user has that seamless experience when they get closer to the asset. So I think we're kind of bringing together technology, operational, and design security. And to sum up, I think we are designing out the vulnerability and designing in the security.
No, I love it. In the United States, we have a very popular term. The buzzword now is CPTED, criminal prevention through environmental design. And I love the fact that you said that you begin first with the risk assessment. You understand what the risks are and you build that in right at the beginning. So excellent. Trevor, let's turn down to you, March Networks. So at March Networks, you're the leading provider of intelligence surveillance solutions. Can you help us to understand how the use of data, particularly everyone wants to know about AI and metadata and all those things, how does that work in video systems? And can that be brought together to provide the tools needed to provide overall security?
Yep, thank you, Luke. Morning, everybody. So, as you can all see, video surveillance is everywhere today. There are cameras everywhere. And the image quality of the video is much better than it used to be. But most of that video is still not used. I think something like 80% of video is not even looked at. So what March Networks have been doing for the past 20 years is finding sort of new intelligent ways to use the video. And one of the ways we've been doing that is linking video with data. So we've been working with many of the world's largest banks and retailers, linking their transaction data to video. And this has provided huge benefits. For example, in retail, we are linking every single point of sale transaction to the video of that transaction. And this has really provided huge benefits to our customers, allowing them to reduce losses and also improve customer service. And that's just by linking data with video. And what we see today is there is a lot more data available. So there are many new devices on the network that have valuable data, sensors, readers, IoT devices. And so what we've been building is a video and data analytics platform that allows us to bring in data from different sources, combine the data, and then link data events to video. And then in addition to that, what we're seeing now is a huge amount of data coming from the video itself. And that's what we call metadata. And this is from video analytics, which, up until fairly recently was not very accurate. The technology was based more on motion detection. Whereas what we've seen in the last couple of years is the introduction of machine learning video analytics. So this is where AI comes into the picture. And this is where the video system can detect and recognize objects. So for example, the video system can detect a person, can detect a vehicle, pretty much any object in this room, the video system can detect and recognize. And then going a step further, we're now able to detect attributes of those objects. So, the video system can detect a person wearing a hat, carrying a bag, maybe wearing a red T-shirt, male or female person, up to the level of face recognition where we can, identify a unique individual. So we've got all of this data now coming back through the cameras, and we're really seeing that video is becoming one of the richest sources of data. So I think, in terms of what the security people need is applications that can make use of all that data, linking data with video, and leveraging the very accurate metadata that we're getting from video. And then, the next question is, well, how do you implement a system like that? And I think that one of the most important parts is having a very reliable video platform. Saudi is a very large country. There are many businesses and entities who have multiple locations, maybe hundreds or thousands of locations. So it's very important to have a central management system that can keep very tight control over all of those locations, controlling the health and the configuration of the system. And then you can bring intelligent applications on top of that can leverage all of the data.
No, fascinating. Data management has always been limited by the human factor. And I think what you have been able to do with your company there is to bring in the AI to be able to sift through it all. Now, it's very impressive. Konstantin, as Saudi Arabia continues to attract more global events as part of its newfound focus on tourism and hospitality, including the World Expo in 2030, what are the lessons that the kingdom can learn from previous notable events in the regions, and what considerations should be made when it comes to implementing security strategy for these events?
Thank you for your question. Actually, all global sport events, they have a massive impact on tourism industry within the country. So it would be like both domestic and international ones. However, the key challenge for all global sport events is always, it happens once in a lifetime. For example, World Cup 2034, it will happen once in a lifetime of Saudi Arabia, for example. And how you will create the environment will have an impact on the impression of a tourist who will come to the country, and what will say outside the Saudi Arabia, something good or something bad. And I think here comes a very good concept that we are also trying right now to push everywhere. Is Sinden Convention concept is safety, security, and service, where I think one of the key elements is a service. So this is like an integrated approach where you put hospitality in security industry, and when in case of success you create a very good impression on people who will attend only particular for this event, because you will also host Asian Cup 2027, a global expo that will attract a lot of people from around the world 2030, and of course the World Cup 2034. And I think the key lesson learned, maybe on a very high level, like thinking strategically wise, is what will you do and what is your goal of creating this positive impression after, for example, 2034 World Cup, to invest in your human resources, the people, for example, whom you will attract, particular for this event, how you want to keep them, and how you will use their knowledge to train your people, and how you will train your people and invest in this knowledge. Because all these events, they are specific ones, and there is always a difference between the corporate security and global events security, because global events, they always have specific requirements. Asian Cup, they will have own requirements. FIFA, they have own requirements. Expo is completely different. The level of service of security is also completely different. And I think the third thing is use of modern technologies. I understand that nothing will happen without human resources, but technologies now plays a crucial role. And I think the Hajj pilgrimage is a very good example of implementation of super modern technologies in crowd management element of safety and security.
Excellent. And I like what you said too. It's not just about training on security, but it's also going to be that training on hospitality. There's going to have to be a blend of the two. Tawfeeq, let me come back to you and ask the question here. What are the key focus areas in the security industry when it comes to enhancing this overall tourist experience that everybody wants?
Excellent. Very good question. Thank you. First of all, we considered security as a vital or a pivotal player within the tourism and guest journey. So traveling or tourism is not only crossing border and traveling from one country to another. There is more of a cultural change. There is even law changes. So we need to prepare the people working in the tourism security in areas like cultural awareness, cultural sensitivity, communication skills, in addition to the guest-oriented security services, guest welcoming services. These are areas in Red Sea Global. We established a partnership with King Abdulaziz University Faculty of Tourism to develop a track in the Faculty of Tourism for tourism security, where we co-develop the curriculum that covers several areas. Aviation security, maritime security, land security, security risk assessment, several subjects given to the trainees in order to prepare them to accommodate the guest journey. The guest journey, this is one side, the training. On the other hand, we ensure to engage the security with all of the guest journey stakeholders. For example, mobility, hospitality operation, hotel operation. That ensures the design of all of the details of the guest journey to succeed in making the guest visit good memory.
Great.
Great. All right. Thank you for that. Andrew, question for you here. Saudi Arabia's hospitality security, areas for improvement, and security challenges affecting its hospitality industry. You talk a little bit about that, and how do you anticipate the development of hospitality security in Saudi Arabia within the coming years?
Yeah, good question, Luke. So this is a very complex sector in the kingdom. So Tawfeeq mentioned it, his portfolio of Red Sea Global, NEOM the same. It will have border security, maritime security, aviation security, and land security. That's without the events and crowd management sector, without the traditional man guarding sector. So if I start as well with security and planning design, so the challenges we faced, or we still face, is probably a lack of a defined code. So if we look at the fire life safety, they have the Saudi building code. So if a corridor needs to be 4 meters wide because it says so in the Saudi building code, they have to. Whereas in the security industry, there's an abundance of worldwide standards. So at the beginning, there was kind of like a database of worldwide standards that people had to follow. But I think as the developments mature, these will become more refined. Moving on to, I guess, the events and crowd management hospitality sector. This I see, since its inception, a rapid development. They're being supported by the GEA, and they're taking, the management are sending their sort of employees on world-leading crowd management safety courses, everything from introductory level up to management level. And I guess the GEA are kind of regulating that as the authority. So I see rapid development in that. And then we come to the traditional, let's say, man guarding sector. I think if the man guarding sector needs to keep pace with the development of the other two, otherwise they'll be left behind. So I know Mr. Fahad from SAFE mentioned it, that there is, they are introducing partnership with IFPO, and Mr. Nadeem is training, or head of the security academy there. But we need continued training, not just one certificate. It needs to be continued professional development. And I think what the events sector do, when you look at Soundstorm, Middle Beast, or you look at the boxing, or you look at FII, they're bringing in experts in their field to mentor the young Saudi who are starting their way in this career. And I think that's something the man guarding traditional could learn from, to sort of mentor their graduates as such, or their employees at the beginning of their journey. So there needs to be, I think Fahad mentioned it as well, or Mr. Badr, there needs to be a career pathway, whether that's through apprenticeship, and it needs to be seen as an attractive profession. At the moment, I would, in my opinion, the man guarding sector is probably not seen as that. And probably finally, to sum up, all the giga projects, the hospitality event sector, they need to coordinate with national level security, because national security have an input there. And if you don't coordinate with them, you miss parts. And finally, I think Trevor has touched upon it, technology, the development of technology will push the boundary of security. Yeah, and that's it.
No, you're spot on too with the man guard, and the traditional model of gates, guards, and guns. That's long a thing of the past. It's all about modern training. So thank you for that, Trevor. Talking about technology here, how can the overall tourist experience be enhanced by correctly implementing intelligent video?
Right. Well, I think I go back to one of my original points, which was around the usage of video. So, traditionally the video is only used by the security department. And what March Networks has seen, particularly in our retail customers globally, is that if you open up the video to other parts of the business, it can have a dramatic effect on improving the performance across a whole organization, from operations, marketing, compliance, and even training as well, which is obviously a very important part of the tourism industry, and having the right trained people. So, using the video in a more intelligent way across a whole business can have that knock-on effect in improving customer experience and brand loyalty. Yeah.
And Konstantin, where does crowd management fit into all of this? Because we're talking some hefty numbers coming up in the future. How do we manage these crowds?
It's a very good question for friendly debates. Within global sport events, I faced some challenges when the main challenge is like the definition of crowd management. Some people, they have different understanding depending on let's say which entity dominates in developing the crowd management methodology. And now we have some friendly debates as well with folks from the industry, and we distinguish crowd management, crowd control, and crowd safety. But in combination, we call it a crowd management framework as a part of another big universe called security. Why we did it and went very deep into the details, distinguishing with safety, control, management, because from country to country, the approach is completely different, and it depends who is dominating. I think a very good example here is Hajj pilgrimage, and I think MOI is dominating in developing the plans and doing all the crowd management elements. And for example, we can call it crowd control, but the elements of crowd safety and crowd management were part of crowd control. For example, for global sport events, mainly it's security, and within security we have crowd management, and the elements of crowd safety and crowd control were part of crowd management. And yes, I agree with Tawfeeq approach that you already have in the kingdom a very good example and the model of crowd management, but now you will need to make the model, adaptate the model to tourism sector, global events environment. So, and it will depend, of course, who will lead and dominate it. If it's MI, or maybe it would be local organizing committee who is doing events itself. But in general, yes, I think it's very important and crucial element of, in general, security, because all events, they attract millions of people within the period of event itself. Like a World Cup, it can be 6 million, 8 million people, not in one time, but within this time frame of event itself.
Great. And you touched on something, you may have opened Pandora's box. I'm going to save this as our last question. I'm just going to open this up to whoever wants to answer, or if you all want to say something. Safety and security, or safety versus security. Is there a difference? I mean, there is a difference, but is it something that we as security professionals need to be blending these together? Do we keep them separate? What's your take? Anybody? I'll open this up to anyone.
I'll jump in. In my opinion, they should be kept separate. If you're talking about safety in the term loosely, yes, we need to be safe and secure. But if you're talking about a safety department, health and safety, and a security department, I believe they should be separate because they do different things. Yes, there needs to be coordination between the two. But I think if you have them together, there will always be one winner. So companies will focus, if they have a safety and security department, they may focus naturally more on safety than security, or vice versa.
Tawfeeq.
First, we have a security company called Safe here. So I have 3 points in this regard. First of all, there is no common agreement among tourism industry where each sector ends and where the following sector starts. There is no clear separation in that regard. This is first of all. Second, in several European languages, namely French, Spanish, Portuguese, they use the same word for both industries. Am I right in that? Okay. And speaking of luxury tourism or tourism in general, where you keep the whole year saving money for that visit, believe me, a ruined vacation is a ruined vacation, no matter who to fix the blame on.